welcome to Campaign Comrades, your favorite leftist gaming podcast. We are back with our news roundup for the month of May. I had to just do a quick mental
It's
check.
gonna be May.
Almost said April, because in my mind it was still April. My concept of the passage of time has been completely
Meanwhile, it's almost June.
Yeah,
condensed.
no.
Yeah.
When I went to look at the story selection for this, I was like, April was like a week ago. How can there be enough news?
We are recording this early for us, but like that's still only by a couple days.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's also functionally what would ever be the earliest in the month that our news would ever be, because the 31st falls on a Friday. So like,
True.
So yeah, we missed out on another week. Yeah.
so if any fantastic news happens in the next week, we can't talk about it. Guess
Nope,
it'll be in the ether forever.
We'll have to follow our own rules and save it for
If
June.
Microsoft wants to close any more studios, they better do it between tomorrow and June 1st, or else we won't cover it.
Yeah.
We will-
Yeah.
Avoid some of the bad press.
Yeah, just
Yep.
throw it out with the
Yeah.
trash. Yeah, folks.
I mean, I know Phil has us on his personal playlist because he absolutely loves to listen to me talk about his products.
Bill doesn't. His personal security team certainly knows my name, though.
They keep sending me cease and desist notices.
For me, it's just because I'm sending him suggestive images.
Yeah.
Just me standing there holding an Xbox 360 copy of Blue Dragon and nothing else.
You'll say holding it just protectively enough.
Yeah.
And just the disc itself, so that like there's a little bit of a hole that you could just get a little peek through.
A little peek. I think you're being a little generous there, but the whole thing's coming through.
Just CD on your dick.
The common joke where it's like,
pic.
where they're like, girls are like, if I had a penis for a day, I'd see how many donuts I could stack on it. It's like, no, you got to think about CDs.
Yeah.
Think of how many more CDs you can fit there.
So I jumped the gun a little bit on Microsoft. We will be talking about that, but first off, this news
we have to talk about it because media is not going to be able to talk about it for very long.
Right, because dude, as I was like diving further into this and like seeing how many now
the branches.
The branches of how many different outlets are now all owned by the same thing. So
having the Alan at the casino scene from The Hangover, just like suddenly connecting all of the dots.
What's the company in 30 Rock that owns everything? Is it Unilever?
I mean, Unilever owns a lot of shit.
Unilever's the real company.
It owns a lot of shit already.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the joke. There's the joke in 30 Rock where it's like NBC, Cabletown owns, NBC and all these other Frito-Lay, all these, it's all these mega corporations are combined together. Yeah, that's a 30 Rock joke. But yeah, so this story broke like the day before recording, right? So this is like pretty fresh stuff that I have not seen a lot of coverage. I don't even think I did IGN themselves put anything out, like, which you would think out of some type of quote unquote journalistic standards that they would kind of have to acknowledge some stuff there, but
there is no journalism standards.
Yeah, there's
anywhere.
no sense of integrity anywhere. Like, I have not seen really much
for independent journalists.
These are just like a couple of news or press releases that just kind of, again, people were hoping just to kind of sneak under the radar. So IGN,
they definitely timed their release on the info at a particular time while everyone else had already like taken the spotlight with their dumpings of shit.
So IGN Entertainment, which is owned by Ziff Davis Incorporated,
That's definitely a real person.
It's an American digital media and internet company founded in 1927 by William Bernard Ziff Sr. and Bernard George Davis. So it's actually two real people.
Two Bernards.
They started off with like they had a magazine about popular aviation that they used to sell for a quarter. This is like a long-standing brand.
Never in Brandon's economy.
I never get tired of listening to like the value of old money.
Yeah, like people don't realize how many big private companies there are still. Like there's still a lot of private owned shit that's enormous.
Not publicly traded.
Right.
I was waiting for it to like trace back to like Rupert.
This one's public?
Like that.
This one is public.
Oh. How have we never heard of this company? That's so nefarious.
I mean, because they bought IGN in 2013, so about 11 years now.
And no, IGN did not have anything on their webpage. I just scrolled through it.
Why would they?
Yeah, I only saw this on some of the affected outlets, which we'll get to.
Yeah.
But so IGN Entertainment, owned by this company Ziff Davis, they purchased the Gamer Network from ReedPop, the owners and organizers of PAX. And they were the ones who were trying to save E3 too and failed.
Did you realize that they also owned these media arms? I did not know that.
I vaguely knew that.
Yeah, I vaguely knew that they owned some media companies, that they did more stuff than that. But like, if you had asked me to name the specific outlets, no, I wouldn't have told you. But like, yes, I did know that. But they've been like trying to divest of it since like sometime last year. They've been trying to get out of it.
Oh, weird. It's like so many companies all of a sudden they're trying to divest and get out of
media
deals they made in
I don't know when. We'll say I don't know when ReedPop owned them. Let me see if I can. They were purchased by ReedPop in 2018. Yes. Yeah, they acquired them in February 2018, and then offloaded them now in 2024. So IGN now under its banner has acquired. Let's go down the list here. GamesIndustry.biz, Eurogamer, which Eurogamer was like the flagship for the Gamer Network. The Gamer Network used to be called the Eurogamer Network. Then Rock Paper Shotgun, VG 24/7, Dicebreaker, and those are the ones that they outright owned. It also had stakes in Outside Xbox, Digital Foundry, which we know, and then it's just layer on layer on fucking layer.
Yeah.
Because then there's Hookshot, which operates Nintendo Life, Push Square, Pure Xbox, and Time Extension, and those are all outlets that I'm familiar with. Followed, which without knowing again that they all already existed under some other unified banner, and now again further consolidating.
You just had your good God Lemon
capitalism
moment.
They just like own so much shit now.
I feel like if you just go deep enough, eventually it's still someone like Rupert Murdoch or someone at the end.
It's just all Russian nesting dolls, man. It's just
that is capitalism.
Little bloop, bloop, bloop.
And so Ziff Davis owns, has IGN Entertainment is the larger division now that all these things operate under. But that already included obviously IGN itself, Map Genie, not something that was one I'm not familiar with. But then How Long to Beat.
Wait. Map Genie?
Yeah, let's Google, see what that
Map
is.
Websites still exist?
So is that a map quest?
I feel like I feel like that's
it's
also
game maps.
tracker.
It's game maps.
Oh, okay.
They're interactive game maps, which I'm pretty sure the things.
Fine.
I think Matt, you've sent me one of those before.
Probably for Elden Ring.
No, I think you sent me
Extra Life for
I think you sent me blah 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 Tears of the Kingdom when I was looking for like
Oh yeah, definitely, because that's a good way to track all the shit.
What major like outlets are not part of this
Us.
this new conglomerate?
Kotaku.
God,
Which,
don't
who
ugh.
who owns
Ugh.
Kotaku? Who
Unilever.
Johnson and Johnson.
Embracer Group.
I think aren't they? Oh, Gawker Media. That's how it started. That's how it started.
Oh,
it's Geo. It's Geo Media. Yeah.
Which owns Gizmodo, The Root.
So there's pretty much two.
There's those. I mean, who owns like PC Gamer and fuck, I feel like there are definitely a few others, but like this was a lot of them. This was like a whole lot.
Those were some reliable websites that are now under one banner, which, as you understand, will definitely not be slowly folded and shuttered into just being IGN employees while they are slowly liquidated and folded away.
No, it's already happened. The editor-in-chief of GamesIndustry.biz already laid off. He's like one of the ones that
I really liked
that's been confirmed.
GamesIndustry.biz is the one that hurts probably the most.
Yeah, dude,
they provide solid information.
They're really good. They had a lot of good shit. I always thought their analysis was pretty strong.
PC Gamer's owned by a UK brand that has a portfolio, but
this is a UK brand. Gamer Network is so that's what I've heard is that
PLC.
basically anybody who is not based out of the UK was made redundant in this. No, it's only anybody who lives outside of because it's a UK based operation. Yeah. So anybody outside has been let go. Yeah, so Brendan Sinclair was the longtime managing editor for like over 10 years and is now gone.
Brendan, come on the pod.
I hope you got the best severance package you could before the HR came through and was gutted.
I'm sure he did. And he would be better off if HR was gutted first. They're not helping you.
No,
I'm just thinking that the HR of the company,
fucking corporate.
No, but follow me for a second. The HR of the company smaller will be better to interact with than the HR of Microsoft.
Okay.
Or not Microsoft. Whoever the fuck.
That might be true.
Let's leave it at least at
bigger company.
IGN. But like, man, I just when
Microsoft on the brain.
Yeah, when Matt sent this in the chat, I was just like, be prepared for more 7 out of 10 reviews, folks.
Yeah.
That's all we're gonna get.
Oh.
Not gonna get anything.
Not fair. I really like the game and it got not the best reviews ever. So that's just unfair to the world. I feel persecuted.
GamesIndustry.biz had an article.
Yeah, they're the one that
was
a lot of the purchase had articles.
Yeah,
but the purchaser remained silent.
Yeah,
because real G's move in silence like lasagna. Lil Wayne said that.
Hell yeah. That is an all-time line.
It really is. What's a goon to a goblin?
When I realized because I was stupid when I heard that song for the first time, but when I realized that there's a silent G in lasagna,
oh my god,
I was like,
I need you to,
you
to log off.
Let's rein it back in, folks.
No. It's a Wednesday night recording. This is staying crazy.
What do you think? What do you guys think of like the black pill opinion of like what does the media consolidation mean for access journalism? Right, you know that because there's only the one company, the all game publishers, can't threaten access, right? Because there's only one place to go. I guess it's either go to the one place or do nothing. And I guess, yeah, still that they would, they would just prefer no
the
press.
arms race?
They would still
the arms race of the games industry where they're like, you can't keep blocking us out of reviewing games if there's only one of us left.
And they just be like, no, then we just won't, we just
won't review games anymore.
We just won't review
Mutually
games. That's good.
Destruction.
That's good for us. Yeah. I'm talking
this
myself
might actually
out.
help our game sales.
Yeah. So no, I don't think.
No, that's definitely what they do. They definitely would just be like, fine, no reviews.
I was just like trying to think like, oh, is there a silver lining? Could this mean access journalism gets put out to pasture? But no.
No, because honestly,
making it worse.
They'll just find someone on Twitter to say like, this is the best game in my life, and they can market off that shit.
You said someone.
They already do it.
You said someone when you just meant some bot. You just pay some bot farm to talk about your game.
Yeah.
In Romania.
And probably like trigger some other bot farm built off that algorithm skimming to, talk about the game. Like, and eventually maybe like 3 real people will buy the game because they're like, oh my God, look at all of these people who are enjoying it.
That is something I always kind of pay attention to when I see marketing that promotes like review quotes. And then you look at like who they're quoting and it's like moviefreaks.com.
We get all these perfect scores and like, yeah, they're just all.
It's the equivalent of like book publishing where the person who wrote the book just buys
a couple thousand copies.
Well, that's what they do. It's not the author, it's the publisher buys a shit ton of books to get them onto the New York Times bestseller list.
New York Times bestseller, yeah, exactly.
Inflated
and then throws them in the Hudson.
Yeah.
They've been lying to you about why the water levels have been rising. It's not because of global warming. It's because of the books they keep throwing into the Hudson to keep them remain in. I'm telling you, it's all a conspiracy. Oh my God, they're at my door. I need to go.
It's because they're trying to cover up the bodies that are in the Hudson.
But we see these trends, right? Like that even before consolidation moves like this, that the content on offer is been further streamlined and shit, that all these outlets are being, sold off to private equity things to then just like do guides only. Like that's like the only thing that they find profitable.
Dude, the IGN guides fucking suck.
They are bad.
I'm sorry to the people who write them. I'm sure that you are.
It's a hard job. It's a hard job. Yeah.
I am not jealous of the like, oh, you get to play video games all day. It's like, no, you don't get to play video games. You get to fucking study video games. You get to fucking scrounge every corner of video games.
Oh no, that's not a fun job.
And see, and that's the bit, right? It's like that they require that stuff to be done on day one. So they need the access. They need as much time to get early codes for that as possible. So you can't rock the boat. You can't rock the boat because that's the shit that drives traffic. And that's the only thing that results in any money for them now. It's just eyeballs.
I mean, you can look at it with the discourse of the Hellblade 2 release, where people are losing their mind over low reviews because obviously they're going to be people who dislike the game because there's not much there in the way of quote unquote gameplay.
Low reviews, and it was still the 80s. The 80s are not low.
It's like they're missing the fact that an aggregate score in the 80s is still fine.
Yeah, it was definitely divisive though, which is something I wanted to bring up to you guys. Like, why do you think nowadays you hear that
everything is so divisive?
You hear that a lot, that games are that this game is divisive. Whereas like, because it's this expectation that every game needs to be for every person. Whereas games used to be okay
for real gamers.
For there to be to be like a niche title, right? Like to appeal to a certain person.
I don't even think it's that. I think it's that the vocal majority across the vocal minority across almost everything.
Don't call them a fucking vocal majority.
No. Yeah.
Don't give them that power.
The vocal minority across almost everything just sucks. Like they make everything divisive everywhere. That I think
Yeah.
I don't know that it's even industry specific.
But I'm even not even looking at user scores. I'm looking at things like review scores. Like this game is averaging in the you know the 80s. It's because you're getting 9s and 10s, but also 5s and 6s.
Yeah, that's how averages work.
No, I know, but like there is not a real consensus. It's like you don't really you're not actually finding as many scores in the where the average falls. It is on both.
This is a
ends.
different type of
different
type of data release. Instead of a precise cluster, this is outliers.
I also disagree, and I think that the consensus is it sucks, and you should just forget all the higher scores because they are paid, and that's essentially what's happening. Like you kind of have to ignore the high end.
Are you saying that that's what you agree with, or that's the what people are saying?
I mean, what people are saying that's what I think's happening. They're saying that people are paid to lower the scores. I've seen so much cope on like people lower the scores for Xbox games. If it released on Switch, it would be a 10 out of 10. Like, if that game released on Switch, it wouldn't look that way to begin with. And 30 frames per second would be a pipe dream.
Dude, that is one of the funniest things I've ever heard. Oh my God.
There are I watched I punished myself by watching a segment of the Kind of Funny.
It's a beautiful game.
Let's have the Kind of Funny thing, and they're talking about like, oh yeah, the sound is like, even the one who's like defending it is like, you know, it has made leaps and bounds. It's set the new bar for visuals and sound design, and it's just like, yes, agreed. And then it's saying, and like, yeah, it doesn't really do a whole lot in gameplay or you know, or is combat in gameplay. And we're like, dude, that's what makes a game. That's a game. You know, like you've completely bypassed like what makes it a game.
No,
like,
those things aren't important.
No.
Those things aren't important.
Monetization.
Like,
there have been a lot of jokes. There have been a lot of jokes online that like buckle up, folks, because like Kojima's next project is going to be worse than this. It's going to be like occasional button prompts, but no like rhyme or reason to when or why they show up. And if you fail, you have to go back 2 hours.
Like I've heard people say that like for a 5 to 6 hour game, they didn't have a single input press other than up on the stick for the first 45 minutes.
Yeah, I read a review. Like I read a review that said at one point you just run through a swamp for 20 minutes without even doing a puzzle.
Okay, but when you do it in Dark Souls, people are like, "Oh my god, greatest level design ever." No one says that.
Miyazaki does.
Oh yeah, no. He says it because he's like, they hate this, and I love how much they hate it.
Yeah, he does love that shit.
Like I'm fully aware that his final game is just going to be poison swamps, the entire game, various levels of poison.
But like honestly, seeing this game, I in the runtime, in the fact that there's less of a combat system, like. It truly makes me ask.
There were like four.
What have you been doing?
There were like 4 combat buttons in the first game, and they got rid of one of them.
Yeah. There's 3 button presses. What have you been doing? And honestly,
there are 3 button presses.
I kind of fucking respect that. I kind of respect it. Seems like they might have just chilled for a year or 2.
What's the quote? It's I want games made in more time by developers who are paid more to do less.
Yeah, it's the Sonic meme.
Yeah.
I want games with shittier graphics or something. I forget the whole thing. I'll look it up. Yeah, no, we kind of got off track here.
Yes, you know, we're going wild with it. It's Wednesday. Wine Wednesdays. We're all wined out. Wine moms.
Yeah, it's the Sonic picture. I want shorter games with worse graphics, maybe people who are paid more to work less, and I'm not kidding.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like that's what they did.
No, except for the worst graphics bit. They definitely made
that's like
graphics.
the only thing that I've seen about it that is like, very, very good looking. You are correct.
Yeah, I mean, even the first game still looks great.
Yeah.
It's an Unreal Engine 5 tech demo, folks. That's what it is.
I was gonna say, like, do you know what else looked really good? The Matrix Resurrections. And that was free. And it was 2 hours.
My biggest thing, and this isn't having not played it yet, obviously, but is that Hellblade 2 seems to have completely undermined the main premise of the first game.
Yeah.
Like, the whole bit of like it actually being,
monsters and magic are real.
Yeah. Having that be a thing where the mythical elements are confirmed to be real by other people, that the gods are actual beings to be fought and killed, is really kind of just undermines the intent of the first game.
The idea of the mental psychosis.
And so some of that shit makes sense. Apparently the creative director of the first game is gone. He left.
Yeah. I was about to say that it makes sense when you know that context. Like that. All right, cool.
Right. So this is not Hellblade 2 hater podcast. Let us move on. So we'll move on.
It's okay, Phil. I'll lay off the Hellblade hate. We'll talk about something else and hate instead.
And say it's relevant because people are all talking about, like, with the Xbox news, it's like Ninja Theory is on the chopping board next. There are rumors that are completely unsubstantiated that they have apparently been greenlit for a new project, but nobody knows when that talk could have, if it's true, could have been months ago. Like, we don't know when that happened. We don't know what.
It's something we haven't heard of a lot recently. But there was a point in time where Microsoft really had problems like gaslighting themselves about game pre-releases and like doing internal reviews and being like, wow, this internally reviews so well, because the people who definitely don't want to lose their job say that this is a 10 out of 10 best game I've ever played.
The last thing I'll say about Hellblade specifically, maybe we'll still talk about Ninja Theory, but Hellblade, people were saying like, oh, they didn't market it because they did those internal reviews and realized it wasn't going to be super, super high, so they didn't want to kill momentum. But I've heard a lot of other people saying is they couldn't market shit because they already showed the good stuff.
Yeah.
It's so short, all the exciting and big set pieces.
Well, I mean,
they've already showed in the various
in a 5 to 6 hour game. When you show 2 minutes for a trailer, that's a huge percentage difference than when you show 2 minutes of a 100-hour game.
And apparently the game. Again, the game just ends with no actual like big set piece or anything at the end. So for those of tying this first story now into this, for those concerned about media consolidation, to have those concerns validated, concerns validated, you don't need to look further than the consolidation of game developers and publishers. Dude, and all that.
Microsoft, when they were doing the Activision Blizzard trial, whatever, when they were doing the whole like, are you gonna like make sure that people like keep their jobs? They were doing the Mark Wahlberg like, what? No, we're fine. Like, no one's gonna lose their jobs. Everything's great here.
Nobody from this company is gonna lose their jobs. All the other ones that we bought, say the ones that we bought a couple years ago, we don't talk about them anymore. They're already dead.
Yeah.
Because they can be like, no, we're not firing anybody, because those firings have already been on the books for a year.
I mean, that was
honestly
nobody knew
this was in the books for more than like a year or something like that. Like getting these closings.
I don't know about that, because I've heard conflicting things. That a big reason why they closed. So for those who don't know, which should be everybody. Xbox closed 3 studios, folded a 4th into ZeniMax Online shit.
Arcane Austin, Tango Gameworks.
Roundhouse was the other one, which they were the mobile Mighty Doom people. Yeah, so the ones that are really relevant are Arcane Austin and Tango Gameworks. And so I've heard things said that the reason why they did this now is because both of them were in the process of pitching new games and would have been needed to staff up. That they were looking for resources, and basically they're like, nope, you're not getting anything more out of us.
All I'm saying is for them to cut them off that quickly means they had an eye on them.
Right. But I think it largely comes down to that because people have brought up like the hypocrisy of someone like Aaron Greenberg tweeting out after Hi-Fi Rush. It's like, oh, it met all our expectations and all this. and then saying like, oh, but we need things with that's smaller games that win awards and all these things. And how can both of these be true? And when
you just get rid of the one game that you have had a win with.
It basically can be true because the expectations were different when they said those things. Like those things were said before the Activision deal goes through, and that they're now $70 billion in the hole, and Microsoft, not Xbox, Microsoft, Satya Nadella is putting the evil eye of Sauron onto Xbox, and it's like
onto the people who are spending the money.
It's like, okay, you guys need to make that money back now. So the expectation has
which
changed.
They do. That's how business fucking works. Like that's why I think that's totally what's happening. This
is still fundamental mismanagement on behalf of Xbox.
I mean, they get what they want in the end because they just get to keep the IP of the Fallen Studio. And
they're not gonna make another Evil Within. But they're not gonna make a Hi-Fi 2.
Having it is more valuable than doing anything with it.
Yes.
Having the access to
like movie studios,
future limitless opportunities.
But even that doesn't matter. They're just cutting costs till they can be the most profitable they can be.
Corporations don't think that long in advance. They don't.
Unless
it's a secondary
Walter
secondary
Disney
consideration, but it's still like IP in these industries.
No, they don't care about IP that hasn't made them money.
How are they gonna leverage that IP?
The only IP they care about is the IP they use
it. Because that's they get to a point where they can license, and that's all they'll end up doing.
If it's a big enough IP,
but that's the thing. None of that is big enough.
Gets to use it.
I don't even think so. Like they're not gonna make like a Hi-Fi Rush TV show.
Oh no,
that's not gonna happen.
No one else is gonna make a Hi-Fi Rush.
I'm not saying that's what they're doing with any of
only people that particular.
Would. I'm just saying that there is part of what they're doing in the broader scheme that involves
consolidation,
buying the companies to be able to access their IP and not really caring about the people who actually created the product.
Well, that's true. That's absolutely true. They don't care about people. I mean, they bought Bethesda. Not for any of these things, but to keep Starfield out of PlayStation.
I mean, they also bought Bethesda because like Todd Howard and Phil Spencer probably like smoked some hookah together,
fillet each other.
He was really impressed
wearing nothing but bomber jackets.
I was gonna say he was really impressed with the bomber jacket collection that Phil showed him.
Bomber jacket and tube socks.
But I think Andrew's right. It's just about the cost cutting for right now. Profits are not coming. It's the same reason why they're going multi-platform with everything else, is that it's the only way
lines.
It's the only way that they can try to scrape some of this cash back.
Right. And we can pretend these people care about this stuff, but the people making these decisions don't. They don't.
They just care about number go up.
But Phil Spencer's a real gamer. He has a Fallout 76 camp that players nuked in solidarity with the closed studios.
And like, I would maybe even let you believe that Phil does care, because I think it's above him. Like it's not it's above.
Phil is the puppet.
Yeah, no, you heard a lot of this
placed in front of
came
us
from
to
Microsoft,
distract us
not
with bomber
Xbox.
jackets.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, no, this is Microsoft saying you convinced us
making actual money.
You convinced us to allocate $70 billion towards this acquisition, and as of right now, it's not made us shit back.
Yeah, you know how the popular refrain was always that, oh, Microsoft is a rounding error on or Xbox is a rounding error on Microsoft's balance sheets.
Not when you take
not when you take $70 billion.
Nope.
Even for a however many $1 trillion company that Xbox or Microsoft is,
you don't get to trillions of dollars because you let people take billions of dollars.
And that's the other side of this immediate thinking that comes with most of these organizations that Ben's talking about. The short-sightedness is like, short-sightedly, that's a big fucking that is a nut to invest and not like start seeing significant positive results, which they've not seen.
No, their numbers most recently were not what the children would call a good tight beat. They weren't.
They definitely weren't hitting. They definitely weren't hitting.
They weren't Dylon. They were not spitting fire.
No, they were. What is it? Ohio. They were Ohio.
I want to know if nut is a term of art in the finance world.
No, that's a personal term there.
Okay.
It's not a phrase of the trade. And do they spell it?
I mean, it might be on Wall Street Bets
or KNUT. That's also my question.
That's better than like programming words of the trade. That's master slave
terms of arts.
That's a fun one.
Oh, that's there too. And
NUT is what is how I know it though.
Yeah, it's not good. And again, people are saying that Ninja Theory is next on the chopping block, and from what we saw yesterday,
they've set themselves up with this recursive problem where they put everything into Game Pass. So they need Game Pass to be everything that like goes forward, and Game Pass prevents games from selling well.
Yep, it is a self-fulfilling prophecy of failure.
Like, oh no, this game didn't meet expectations because it didn't sell well. I guess we can get rid of your company.
Yeah, but they're also not boosting Game Pass numbers either. People
Game Pass
is subscribing for these things.
Has largely plateaued and started to dip.
Yep. And so the price is going to start going up soon.
Oh no, they've already said that. Like, adding tiers,
but like even more significantly than
anyone who thought it was going to stay this price forever, Microsoft is not your friend,
and we'll just create more. We'll also just create more churn, right? It's all going to cannibalize itself because they're going to increase prices that for at least a billing period or two will increase revenue for a little bit.
Enough people who re-up,
and then you're going to get the people who are going to cancel because I've got there. And are then no it's the games.
Math of did the amount of people who canceled outweigh the increase in revenue you get from the people who stay.
And it's
like that's the whole like Netflix continue to make money
to get
after
to that level.
They would die.
But like Netflix is a little different. Is a slightly different model.
Netflix has a significantly higher amount of viewers.
Oh, absolutely. Netflix has also been doing it for a lot longer. And started out as the ubiquitous streaming service.
Yeah, but it boils down to price gouging. Like it's what Uber does. It's what like Seamless, Grubhub, all of these platform services do.
I'm excited to be
those
gaslit in like 2035 why Game Pass at $85 a week is a good value.
So that's what I've started seeing is like people that kind of like Xbox or whatever suggesting that they take Call of Duty off of like a day one release and essentially
its own tier.
Yeah, make it like so that no, if you subscribe to Game Pass, you get some sort of in-game bonus and maybe a slight
like
discount.
A battle pass or something. You get a unique battle pass.
Yeah, and like a slight discount, like maybe you pay $50 or $55 instead of $70. You get
stickers for your gun.
But I think that's kind of what's going to happen. I think eventually they're going to realize they have to somehow get people to buy these games more than just use.
They're already coming to that they're already kind of having their come to Jesus moment,
right?
By bringing them to other consoles.
Going multi-plat. It's just like that's pure sales,
right?
That's not about subs.
There was probably a very complex board meeting where someone walked up with a very simple pie chart with 3 wedges on it. And they pointed to the first wedge and they were like, this is the Microsoft Xbox fan base or like community. And it is the smallest portion on the wheel. Then they pointed to the 2 gigantic portions of the wheel, which dominate everything else, and said, we could be selling games to these people instead of just these people. And then they like, yeah, the PC gamers, like we don't talk about them.
Yeah, even though they probably double the entire wheel. We just don't talk about that at all.
What Game Pass is going to end up boiling down to is, like what Andrew said of, bigger games, you just like get some in-game bonus. And you still have to purchase the game. So it's just going to be like fucking glorified mobile games on Game Pass.
Yeah, I was about to say it's going to be like whatever that iOS pass.
You're subscribing you're subscribing to a coupon packet.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
This is Groupon. It's Groupon for gaming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and here's some like fucking shitty games, like the cheap version of like the the mobile version of Forza.
Yeah, there's gonna be so many fucking Angry Birds on there.
Dude, I can play Doodle Jump on my TV now.
Oh no, Rovio isn't king.
Amazing.
Andrew, I'm pretty sure you could too. I'm pretty sure you could too. It's
I didn't know that.
It's like I just saw a little bubble on it on the. Yeah, it's like I think it's native on the TV now.
Okay, cool. Maybe I'll play some.
Dude,
that's real gaming.
This is just a throwback in a personal thing. Just thinking of Doodle Jump. I remember when we went to see Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
I was the one who held out the longest, paying attention. But then I eventually started playing Doodle Jump, and as soon as somebody noticed that I was playing Doodle Jump, they're like, "Can we leave?" It's like, yeah, let's go.
Worst mistake we ever made, because if we'd stayed, you know how different the timeline would be.
Yeah.
Harambe would still be alive.
Yeah.
No one would have student loans anymore.
COVID didn't happen.
Yeah.
Actually, COVID didn't happen. It was much worse. COVID is the good outcome.
Oh man. Oh boy.
I'll probably censor that one, maybe.
This is then like a good transition for Andrew. You wanted to talk about like PlayStation sales and shit. Although I guess we all wanted to talk a little bit as well about just was also the other major story, right, of this month that like none of us really had
yeah, because we play on PlayStation. Like
so we couldn't really like pick no one individual of us could pick this as our story, because it was just like one of the major stories was the Helldivers debacle.
Oh yeah, we should
the PSN account linking shit. And we don't necessarily need to talk a whole lot about that entirely. What I wanted to do, because I know you wanted to talk about, there's some stuff on PlayStation sales numbers, is just why Sony has to like step on the rake
That's
to make this happen, because the big deal for the PSN bullshit is all the countries that now can't
169 countries
play it.
That's a lot. That's a majority of the countries.
yeah.
It is. That
There's only like 10 other countries.
Can't play these games anymore.
It's like 40, but
because it would violate Sony TOS to use a VPN to make a PSN account. Because the majority of countries don't allow allow you to make a PSN account, which is like, how did that knowledge not not cross anybody's desk at Sony?
It's like, sitting on like some intern's desk that figured it out and was too afraid to tell anyone, and like got yelled at by middle management for speaking up and having an opinion.
That is the part that blows my mind, though, is how can they make it how are they wanting to push something out that keeps them from being able to sell games in like,
I mean, does it make it 50%
of the world, probably, by population?
Does it make it crazier if they wanted to do it from day one?
Yeah.
And that's like what I'm.
They're
like,
applying it to all their games.
Well, that's what I'm thinking about. That's what I'm thinking about here, because the most recent one is Ghost of Tsushima. Ghost of Tsushima, which is already, which has set itself as like the record holder for most sold single player game on Steam. Beating out God of War Ragnarok. But it's like
Sony published. We should add, not just like most sold.
Sorry, Sony of the Sony first party published games. It's like, why?
That's pretty surprising, actually, to me. I was surprised by that.
I'm not surprised.
Each
as
one
someone who trolls through the.
It's a good port. It's a good quality port. So that's the biggest criteria, right? There have been plenty of other big Sony games that have gone, like the Last of Us games, or I forget which one, the first one, but the port was fucking dog shit. So you got to cross that off first. But
all I'll say is through the gutters of Reddit, the amount of people on PC gaming Reddits who've been like, Ghost of Tsushima is the game that I want to seppuku myself to, because it's supposed to be like the best realization of Assassin's Creed, because Ubisoft doesn't know how to do it anymore.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
But basically you've seen this trend with basically if it's a good port, yes,
that's true.
Each successive PS title, each successive Sony title released on PC has done better. So I wasn't surprised by that trend, but they're just like they're these self-inflicted wounds of making of harming their own sales by adding this feature. And like, Matt, do you know what? If
we know why. It's because they want to like set up their own PC interface eventually. Like that's their end game goal. They want their own launcher.
So do they want people on Steam anymore, or
it will still be sold through Steam like any of those other games that require a launcher.
Yeah.
But what will end up happening is what they're doing is setting up so that once you buy the game, you need the PSN account. So when they set up the launcher, you can just migrate over, and there's no hiccup in the process there.
I don't understand. What's the benefit of that? What does that do? What does that do for them? Is that about data collection?
That's all I think.
Probably. Yeah.
Because I don't buy the thing that they're like, oh, they're trying to artificially juice PSN numbers. I don't think that's
doesn't matter.
I think it's probably two things.
That's a hashtag cope.
It's probably two things. It's probably one, maybe they do want to eventually sell the PlayStation Plus premium shit over the computer, which would be a reason to have their own.
That's exactly what I'm expecting them to do.
Right. And
then their own launcher.
And then the other is that if,
was there launcher? Quick interjection, Matt, is having the launcher, is that a technical thing that allows them to make that library
it would operate
accessible,
exactly like how the Game Pass app works.
Say on a technical mode, because I don't understand that at all. Like
on EA is the same way,
because if they're bringing their streaming service over, which seems to be what the end goal will be, like that's the easier way to do it is with their own app and launcher that can just piggyback off of Steam downloaded games, similar to how Xbox Game Pass can do that. Even though Game Pass much prefers you to buy things in the Xbox store.
So that's one reason. The other is that it's probably worth it just to do that, just for the couple of people that'll buy directly through their store, because then they don't have to share a code with Steam.
That is true. That is true.
It's probably just worth it.
The reasoning that they gave for doing this was for moderation. At least that was the case for. Well, that's why they're doing it for all online functions. All games with online
you can
functions.
you can still buy Ghost of Tsushima without the PSN account,
because they said it was basically
you just have to play the single player stuff.
They said it was basically that, like, they did it for Helldivers so that they could more easily ban people, so that they could more easily ban toxic players.
Is Call of Duty not full of slurs anymore? I'm so confused.
I mean, we haven't really interacted with a lot of randos, but from the horror stories I've read, what you usually end up with is people who will like be in the game and then kill your whole team right at the end and steal all the samples.
Which does nothing. Like, you share them all anyways.
Kick them all or something like that. Like kill them all, kick them all, take their shit.
But leave. What does that do? What does that do? Again, it's not like you're not going to get
anything extra. It's wasting people's time for your own enjoyment.
That's
the rush. It's criminal behavior.
Yeah. Like you're thinking of this from a rational, like, I'm well medicated,
you're not
human being.
Yeah. I have a normal a semi-normal brain chemistry.
Yeah. By the way, now that we've talked about Helldivers, I want to play after this.
No, I'm trying to finish.
It's too late.
Yeah, I'm trying to finish Yakuza. Right. Yeah, it's a baffling set of decisions all the way around that, like, I don't understand, and that they are definitely not being forthcoming of why they did this.
And I mean, what I was going to say is Sony in general has just not historically been good at.
I mean, no Japanese companies are good at talking to people.
It just reads
cyber infrastructure.
It just reads like they're just slamming their dicks in the car door. But like doing it on purpose, like not even out of an accident. Just like, wouldn't that be cool if I did that?
I mean, they looked over at Nintendo, and Nintendo was like, "Yo, you need a phone app to talk to people in our games." They're like, "Yo, we're more advanced than them, so we're good."
Oh boy.
I can't wait for Switch 2
keeps you in that ecosystem.
Like Switch 2 is going to require you to get like Palm OS and find a Palm Pilot. Because they have like a more secure direct wire connection.
Only like a Bluetooth 1.0 device.
You have to specifically get a Game Boy with a Game Boy printer.
You gotta
everything is USB.
There's facial recognition, but it uses the Game Boy camera.
You wanted to talk about Sony sales.
Yeah, I did. And mainly the storyline around the PS5 sales is very interesting to me. And
people keep trying to slant it as bad.
Yeah, and Sony reported earnings, and yes, I know the investors are sad that they're not going to meet their initial forecast. But if you look at the comparison,
what was it, 21 versus 20.8?
Yeah, but you look at they initially had a forecast of 26 that they.
Yeah, but they lowered that one going into the year.
Right, but that's already one demerit, and then they got two more demerits. So, that's bad. You lose points, stock price go down. And anyways, what I found to be interesting though is the rate of sales of the PS5 were insane for the last 18 months. The slope on that bitch.
It's way outpacing
the majority of the
PS4.
sales. The majority of the sales have been in the last 18 months.
Exactly. The pace of that bitch is crazy. And then you also consider that the PS4 Pro came out essentially around this time, which boosted the rest of the sales. And it's like, there's a good chance.
Okay, but there's
that happens.
But there, we talked about this in the group chat. I think it was around when that story got posted. That's not a guarantee that a PS5 Pro is going to do that, because there is a dearth of software that will actually take advantage of a PS5 Pro.
I mean, the trick with any of those though is you get double dippers. It's not your new buyers, it's the person who already bought a PS5 who then buys an upgrade, because that's your whale.
No, but this is a larger argument that I think across the board, even whether double dippers or new sales, it's just there's not going to be that many.
It's right in time for GTA 6, because that's what's next year. You telling me a GTA 6 bundle with a PS5 Pro at fucking holiday isn't going to sell gangbusters?
If they did that, absolutely. They'd
be crazy not to.
It's like Sony has already signed so many deals with Take-Two for GTA shit, because they did it with the PS4 and PS3 originally. Like they're gonna set something up. They're gonna have a PS5 Pro out. They're gonna set it up for a holiday so they can slash the price by $100, throw GTA 6 in there, and just roll it in.
But there's shit saying now that GTA 6 might slip beyond 2025. So there's no set date for that yet. So I wouldn't count on it.
2K's CEO said they are still aiming for holiday 25.
And god damn it, they will hit that mark no matter how many poor developers need to be crushed into goo and fed to other developers to give them their ideas.
They said they stopped doing that stuff though.
They did. They stopped.
No, they just said they were doing it more humanely.
I believe them. I trust them.
They said the gooification process is now consensual.
Well, see, for me, my thing is about like that they're on par with PS4 sales,
right?
At the same,
which was really good.
Which was really good, yeah,
really good. Especially considering that they literally couldn't make them for 12 months.
It's about like a year and a half. It was around a year and a half when they started to hit store shelves and be normal again.
And then, I mean, the other part though of releasing the Pro is there are enough people that'll see the non-Pro drop to like $350.
Yeah, because that's what always accompanies the
just
Pro
buy it, and that'll also
Slim
help.
Digital will probably drop to like maybe that'll be $350 or $299.
Dude, are you tubing right now? You look like you're just going ham over there.
Are you jacking off right now? No, he's shaking his salad. Below the camera level.
Because it's trying not to get the sound.
Folks at home, I was either like, listen for the listeners. I thought either he is jacking off or he's just stimming so hard right now.
Stimmy Turner.
He's stimulating himself in one way or another.
Yeah. Oh my.
No, I would turn the camera off, and I'd be paranoid.
No, that's coward shit.
That was off. I have a hard
I've known you
shut
for
off
how long? You
it.
look me in the eyes.
Only in person.
We Dutch rudder it.
I mean, I still think again, Sony is in a healthy place.
That's what I was saying.
When they're not slamming their dicks in the car door.
Yeah, literally,
dude. The PS5 Slim, the digital version, that's definitely going to be like a $350 or $299, and they're going to make that the Series S price.
Oh, what do you guys think of the split CEO thing? The two new CEOs.
We're co-CEOs. We make co-decisions.
Holding each other's dicks.
Not good.
They're technically of different teams, though.
Yeah. I mean, splitting into two teams doesn't necessarily hurt. It theoretically gives you better management control over each branch, but Whether or not you do the right stuff with that better control is on your management team.
I didn't know that Herman Hulst was one of like the Guerrilla Games. Like, was he a founder? But yeah, he came from Guerrilla Games.
Yeah, he came from Guerrilla.
So I like, the more hopeful version of people responding to that news were like, yeah, I like that in the person in charge of the actual game development is someone who was an actual game dev.
Was he a game dev?
I
thought he was kind of like a business guy.
I'm looking at
yeah, I'm wrong.
I'm looking him up.
I remember being like, what the kind of meh when I read about him. Maybe I'm wrong.
I can't find a Wikipedia page on him. All I can see is just Guerrilla Games. I'll look through that. But yeah, lots going on at Sony.
There's a whole bunch of fucking companies who are perpetually unhappy with their results and always wanting better. It was like the whole Square Enix saga, where it's like we're seeking a multi-platform strategy, and then someone put together a compilation of like every 2 years they've said that since like 2012.
Yeah.
And it was finished off with the Idris Elba in Pacific Rim, reset the clock.
They're just copy and pasting the same press release, changing the dates.
More or less, but that's just because their own internal expectations are always wildly too high. They were probably sitting there like, yo, Forspoken, 50 million.
Forspoken is like always on sale at Best Buy for like $17.
Yeah, because Best Buy is like the desperately trying to get rid of their stock of it. They're like, please take this game off our shelf.
Even the fucking like electronic, digital version is like on sale all the time.
The digital version, that one's even funnier because that's not a get this off my shelf. That's just like,
it's just
please buy this game.
Yeah, please give us sales.
Please, like, put any money back into this.
Yeah, they almost get me sometimes, and then
it almost gets me sometimes.
Mike, you're smarter.
Wanting to give up on playing complicated games and sitting back and playing less complicated games that don't require as much thought.
That is the trend we're going towards. And when we were talking about Game Pass, changing and these games that are these shorter attention span games that are requiring less thought or not strategic in many ways. These are the type of games I imagine are going to be on Game Pass.
Little Skinner box games.
They're second monitor games.
Yeah.
Second screen games, whatever the fuck they call it.
Like you're gonna get Temple Runner.
Not me. I am a based SRPG head. They really can't get enough strategy.
Yeah.
Engaging that neuroplasticity.
If I can't sit there and lose potentially a unit that I've dumped 20 plus hours of my life into.
And largely that was like the article that we are basing this off of was like very scientific and studying the trends.
Shut up, stupid science bitch.
Yeah, exactly. And so what it ends up tracking is just like as Matt puts it, the TikTokification of the modern attention span. Yeah, brain waves. In that, like, everything, it has gone down. It was like the average time that someone spent on like a single open tab on their computer went from 2.5 minutes in 2004 to 47 seconds in 2016. And so, I imagine in the almost 10 years since
that's probably way
tracked.
inflated by the amount of people who are just like spamming through porn pages.
This was at
this was a test.
The survey, self-report survey.
Yeah. But and then just tracking the trends of which YouTube videos do well, and like that the shorter videos have over time been what has been more successful and more popular.
I mean, I had a coworker who was big into racing, and his YouTube channel blew up the second he started posting YouTube shorts.
Yeah. So like the algorithm,
he got algorithm juiced.
I like seeing that women are equally not smart anymore. Yes. Mm-hmm. So that was cool.
I'm glad you picked that out.
You were happy that you didn't open it, and they're like, "Oh my god, we're falling behind."
Yeah, dude. If the women become strategical experts while the men fall behind, it's over.
Well, they're currently they're on the very slightest uptick, if I'm looking at this correctly. Oh, shit. We're all falling precipitously, but then they are kind of going slightly back up here in 2024.
I refuse to lose to a woman in board games or anything with strategery.
If I'm ever close to losing, I just flip the table.
Just mash all the cards together.
That's your right. That's your right.
It is.
It's your right as a man.
I mean, it's written into all the bylaws that if you're capable of flipping the table, you can flip the table.
But so this is covering a large span of video game users, from iPad kids
the 4-year-old sitting in the grocery cart watching Bluey on his mom's phone while playing games on his iPad.
We're not of the iPad kid generation. I have become a YouTube while eating degenerate. Unless it's like a family meal where obviously like there's somebody to socially engage with. I don't like Matt and I talk about this all the time. It's like either I take so long to find a video that the food is cold, or that by the time I find the video I've finished eating. And like maybe watch like a minute of
that's why
then I stop watching the video.
That's why I decide what I'm gonna watch before I get
cooking. Before you even start cooking.
Preparation. Yeah.
I felt so bad. One of the new interns was sitting in like the break room by himself and had his phone propped up to watch like YouTube at lunch. And 3 of us went and sat down with him to talk to him.
No, it's like come on, let him watch his YouTube video.
Yeah.
The look of sadness on his face when he had to put the phone away.
Let him drop his mask and stim for,
he was just like, these motherfuckers. Every time someone walks up to me, that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, this motherfucker.
This is the only time I have to myself.
Yeah.
The only time I have to myself during the workday.
This is when I'm on the pooper.
Yeah, when I'm shitting or at my desk or anywhere.
And when people knock on the stall door because they know you're in there, that's when it's over.
Hey, I recognize those shoes. Oh no.
No, you don't. Go away. This is my quiet
time. The fourth quarter numbers. Like,
bro, dude, if that happened to me, I would quit right there.
Oh my god, I would too.
I would file for workplace harassment. They tried to talk numbers to me while I had my dick in my hand. That must constitute sexual harassment in some way.
HR, you don't understand. He's 6'8", so when he stands next to the stall, he can walk right into
it. He winked at me.
When I walk into the bathroom and I see someone I know at the urinal, I just do a quick 180 and wait, because I don't even want to talk while we're pissing. No thanks.
Dude, the casual door open, door open, rotate, door walk out.
Dude,
yeah. So I mean,
I would like to see a corresponding
doing a great
trend
TikTokification of the brain
time
right now by just randomizing.
to see like in the last 9 years, what are like what's the number of like Adderall prescriptions or ADHD med prescriptions to see what like if it's like
you can just ask Tucker Bartone. He posts like charts of that all the time.
You're gonna need to bleep that that name.
That's fine. I can just cut it.
So
hilarious.
What this made me think of, and I couldn't find the screenshot that I have of it, but I, as an ADHD Adderall user,
who has had your brain chemistry forcibly changed.
Do you think it's the plastic in these kids' brains? Like,
no, dude, the plastic's in their balls. Recently. I don't know what you're talking about. The plastic's in your balls.
Yeah, there was a study recently, and all 46 exhumed checks had microplastics in the testicles.
That's fine with me. I don't want to have kids.
Children of men, here we come.
Yeah, zap them. But so what this reminded me of was I was talking to my psychiatrist, and she was telling me how the FDA like approved video games as a method of like alternative treatment to ADHD. And it's like specific like ADHD video games. And for a while I was getting them marketed to me on Instagram because they know I have
those the ones where the dudes are shooting and you gotta swipe them back and forth. And
dude,
that guy make the wrong decisions.
That guy in the ad's so dumb. Idiot. So dumb.
Idiot. Fucking idiot.
I could totally play this game better. That's how they get you.
Every time, man.
The ads never have what the game is. You just like, sign up to use video games as, to treat your ADHD.
You should check it out.
I refuse to. I don't want to give them my, full on information.
Well, no, then talk to your doctor, see if they can hook you up, prescribe you with your game.
Be careful though. You with a busy box on a table one day, looking up, and Elon will be there. Like, here, we're just gonna put this chip right in here, and now you're gonna be able to play these games with your brain.
As a lawyer,
I like taking my pills in the morning.
Can I get a work arrangement where because of my ADD, I have to play video games for 2 hours during the day at work?
Well, I've got
a doctor.
Not giving legal advice, but the ADA does exist, and if you can make that
as a teacher, what is it called? An IEP?
Yeah.
Can we get those for professional workplaces?
They're gonna
end up IWP, an independent work plan.
It's gonna create like the gamification of classrooms. Like that's already something that exists in some sense.
Well, I've seen horror stories of
that's called cheating.
Things about like
that's the game we used to play.
So many students have
instead
IEPs
of selling
now
textbooks,
that it makes it impossible
you
to
sell
game
games.
Plan. I can't wait to have no more history books that don't talk about slavery, and you just have Assassin's Creed instead.
But it's not. It won't even be Assassin's Creed. It'll be like fucking.
They're playing the American Revolution one.
Like how are all like the people in Texas who make their textbooks not talk about slavery? How are they going to react when it's the French that's teaching them history?
Yeah.
But it's gonna be.
You won't like it so much then, will you?
I haven't played an Assassin's Creed in a while. I'm assuming when they did the America one, they never did an Assassin's Creed where you play as John Wilkes Booth.
I don't think you saw.
There's not a Civil War era.
No, it was revolutionary.
Missed opportunity. And you could be trying to stop John Wilkes Booth if the French, but knowing the French, they would definitely be doing.
It would be cool.
Do you meet George? Do you meet that redheaded Mongoloid?
You meet George. And it would. It honestly would be funny if they made Abe a Templar. That would be pretty fucking funny.
John Wilkes Booth is part of the Brotherhood.
Yeah.
Yes. Fuck. Missed opportunity.
Dude, Eves, pay me. I'll write your games for way less than you're paying your other writers, and then it'll be just as bad.
That'll be the Texas. That'll be the Texas history book game.
That's the Lincoln.
Six Semper Tyrannis, am I right, folks? That's the hidden the third verse of the Assassin's Code.
Semper Fi.
Okay, boys, we good for this week? I think so. Folks, you all ready for Elden Ring month? We excited. That's gonna be the next shit we're talking about. We got to be ready to talk. We're gonna be talking about Elden Ring.
I'm always ready to talk about Elden Ring.
You gotta grind, bitch.
You gotta try to beat.
Forget her and just beat the game at least.
Okay.
Having social life is for nerds.
Beat her? I feel like
you did.
No, you never beat her, and that's where you stopped because you went to go back to do Radagon, and we're struggling there too.
You can do Radagon.
No,
Radagon is way more doable.
No hate to Kai Cenat, but he beat Radagon in Elden Beast with no magic, no summons. So, and that was his first ever Souls.
It also
game.
took him like 69 hours to beat Melania or something like that.
No, his whole playtime was like 160 something.
His total playtime was less than mine.
No, it was like 600 and something deaths.
Yeah, it was a lot of deaths. But like,
there was someone who made it on Reddit where it was like it took them 60 plus hours of live streaming to finally beat Melania.
Yeah, maybe to get there and beat her.
No, so you can do it
of attempts.
You can do it.
No, it was 600 and something attempts.
Yeah, you could just forget her. You can come back later.
You go back to her. Yeah.
All right, but yeah, you can look forward to that.
As long as you don't trigger New Game Plus, you can do whatever the fuck you want. New Game Cycle.
We can we'll be looking
the DLC.
We'll be looking forward to that. Anticipation of the DLC. We'll talk about the game. We'll talk about the trailers for Shadow of the Erdtree. We'll speculate. I got to do some more deep diving into the.
Yeah, I'm going to start my Vati playlists.
Yeah.
It's gonna be one episode, but it's gonna be about 12 hours worth of lore condensed.
Yo, you guys excited for the 3-hour Vati video about this latest trailer? I know I am. All right, folks.
Cliff notes.
We will.
I'll always be thankful for people like Vati to do the work, so I don't have to.
We will be talking about that next time, and a whole lot more come next month. But till then, you can support us by following and subscribing at twitch.tv/campaign comrades. Check out the social medias. You know the drill. Thank you so much for listening. It's been an interesting month. I doubt next month is going to be much better.
No, you don't understand. It's Summer Game Fest and all that. So we'll be talking about all the games that are coming out instead of all the sadness of all the studios that get closed.
How much are we taking bets now whether or not Jeff Keighley says something about layoffs this year? Do you think he'll do it?
No,
he won't. He's too cowardly.
No, Jeff Keighley's going to be like, hey, look, I paid the Bill Clinton kid to be here and give an award again.
He'll only mention it if it affects Kojima Productions. That's it. He would only mention it.
Kojima was sad about layoffs. So guys, this is a really big deal now.
Yeah. I'm just hearing about this for the first time.
Kojima loved the layoffs, people. I think you're all wrong about this being bad.
Yeah, so there actually will be a lot to talk about next month. So we will try to cover most of it. So we'll see you then. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.